Hello everyone, welcome to the another
virtual class of civics.
So today I am going to teach you election. What is the meaning of election? We'll discuss about it, and different types of elections we'll discuss today in this class. So before that, I would like to request you all, if you have not subscribed my channel till now, please do subscribe it and share among the friends. So election, what is the meaning of election? Election, everywhere you hear that election is going on, Lok Sabha election is there, assembly election is there, Panchayat election, this election, that election, everywhere you hear the word election. So what is the meaning of election? What is the purpose of election? As you know that we live in a democratic country, and democracy is meaningless without election. Democracy becomes successful only when the representatives are elected by the people of the country. And how this process goes on. So a very simple meaning of the election is that the process of choosing representatives by the people. The process of choosing representatives by the people. Our representatives are there in the parliament. Okay, our representatives are there in the legislative assembly. So we have elected them. They are our representatives. They are representing a constituency. Okay, what is the meaning of constituency? Constituency is an area demarcated for the purpose of election. Like in schools, we have a number of classes, right? And each class is again divided into a number of sections. Why it is done so? So that the proper process of taking classes can continue smoothly. In the same way, the entire country is divided into a number of constituencies. Like in India, for the Lok Sabha election, 543 constituencies are there. How many parts are there? 543 constituencies are there. That means how many members will be elected from these constituencies? 543 members. Okay, 543 members will represent 543 constituencies in the Lok Sabha. In the similar manner, every state is also demarcated. Okay, every state is also divided into number of constituencies. As per the strength of the state, the numbers varies from state to state. Like the highest number of constituencies are there in the state of Uttar Pradesh, because the population of Uttar Pradesh is higher than as compared to other states. Okay, so constituency is an area demarcated for the purpose of election. Okay, so election is the process of choosing representatives by the people of the country. Who will elect the representatives? The people who are the citizens of these countries, and their names are registered in the voter list. It doesn't mean that those who have not enrolled their names in the voter list, they can also cast their vote. No, it is not possible. They need to have their names in the voter list. Okay, so election is very, very important in a democratic country, my dear. Okay, so election becomes useless in a dictatorial country, and it becomes meaningful when in a democratic country. So election, that means we can say democracy without election is of no use. So everywhere we choose our representatives. In our country, even we choose a singer by voting. Even we choose a dancer by voting. Right? Even we choose the best actor and actresses by voting and all. Right? So that is a democratic means. It is the opinion of the people who decides who will be the member of the parliament, who is going to represent our constituency. So that is decided by the people of the constituency. So election is a process of choosing representatives by the people of a constituency, or a people of the particular constituency. Okay, people of the particular constituency. So without election, democracy cannot become successful. Hope you understood the meaning of election. So once again, election is a process of choosing representatives by the people. So we are represented in the Lok Sabha, we are represented in the legislative assembly, we are represented in the panchayat bodies, we are represented in the municipal bodies. Everywhere we have given our vote, valuable vote, so that they will represent us. Like suppose for example in a school, number of classes are there, meetings will be conducted by the principal, and every class teachers will represent their class in the meeting. All the students will not be there, but their classes will be represented by the class teachers. Elections are very, very important in democracy because the elected governments need to be elected by the people, and the representatives are to be chosen by the people of the country through elections. Okay. Now, next one we have is two types of elections are there. Number one we have is direct election. Number two we have is indirect election. What is direct election? What is indirect election? That we have to go through it. Okay, so direct election is an election in which the people are involved directly. People are involved directly. They go to the polling booth, they cast their vote, they can see to whom you are casting the vote. Okay, they can see the ballot paper and they cast their vote. There, your involvement is direct. Suppose, for example, Lok Sabha election is there. I am also, my name is also there in the voter list. I'll go to the polling booth. I'll stand in the queue. When my turn comes, I'll go and cast my vote. One vote, that valuable vote, I'll cast it to the person of my choice. And the person who wins the election will be our representative. Okay, so election, direct election. Let me make it clear. Direct election, when the representative, my dear, the person who is going to represent us, when the representatives are elected directly by the voters of the constituency, that is known as direct election. Directly I am involved. I am writing, right? Suppose, for example, I am writing on the board. I am directly involved or not? If I order somebody else to write on my behalf, that is indirectly I am writing on the board. Okay, so my involvement or the voters' involvement in the voting process is known as direct election. We are involved directly in the election. Okay, now I'll show you how. What are some of the elections in which direct elections are held? Like when we elect the member of Lok Sabha. So you can see the chart over here. You can see voters of each constituency. They elect they are the one to cast the votes in the elections, and they directly elect the representatives of the people. Here the involvement of the people is direct. Directly they elect the representatives. So that is in the case of Lok Sabha election. So you can see the another chart. People of India, voters living in 543 constituencies covering the whole of India. They are the 543 are the one who is covering the whole of India. They cast their vote directly to the 543 members of the election. Okay, another example is that in the legislative assemblies of all the states, as I told you, different numbers are there. Like for example, Andhra Pradesh is divided into 175 constituencies. Telangana is divided into 119 constituencies. Assam is divided into 226 constituencies. Okay, Gujarat 182, Jammu and Kashmir 71, Karnataka 224, Odisha 147, Punjab 117, Uttar Pradesh 403. So highest number of constituencies are in Uttar Pradesh. How many? 403. Okay, and West Bengal is divided into 294 constituencies. So here also, to elect the member of legislative assembly, who is involved? So you can see people of each state, voters of each state, okay, they cast their vote directly and they elect the member of legislative assembly of the particular state. Okay, so different states, different constituencies, different number of constituencies. So it varies from state to state, and the highest number of constituency is in Uttar Pradesh, because the population. How are the seats determined in Lok Sabha or the legislative assembly? Seats are determined on the basis of population. The higher the population, higher the number of constituencies. Okay, that is all about indirect election. So Lok Sabha election is held directly, legislative assembly elections are held directly, the panchayat elections are held directly. Now the another one is indirect election. What is the meaning of indirect election? What is the meaning of indirect? That means we are involved indirectly. our involvement is indirect. Though we are also there, our involvement is there, but in an indirect form. For example, like when we elect the president of our country, how it goes on. We elect the president of our country, but our involvement is not there. We are not standing in the queue to cast our vote like we do in the Lok Sabha election or to elect the prime minister of our country. So here what we do, the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha are elected by the people. So you can see the chart. People of India, they are the voters. The people of India elect the member of Legislative Assembly. People of India elect the member of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and member of state assemblies plus the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they elect the president. So directly who is electing them? The president is elected directly by MLAs and MPs. But these MLAs and MPs are elected by whom? We, the people of India. The voters of India have elected them directly. Voters elected them directly. So in a proper way, we can say our involvement is in an indirect way. Our representatives, they on behalf of us elect the president. The members of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, members of legislative assemblies of all the states, they elect the president on behalf of us. Okay. Now next example of indirect election, again I can tell you, like the president of India, vice president of India. So the vice president of India is also elected indirectly. How you can see here? You can see the chart. People of India as a voters, they elect the member of two houses of the parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha on behalf of the people of country or on behalf of the voters of the country, they elect the vice president. So here also we are involved indirectly. We have elected the member of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and the member of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they elect the vice president on behalf of us. Who has given them the right to elect the president or the vice president? We have elected them. We have made the member of Lok Sabha or member of Legislative Assembly. Okay, so that is known as indirect election. So direct election, indirect. Direct, we are involved directly. The voters of the country are involved directly. In the indirect election, the voters of the country are involved indirectly. Hope you understood this part. Okay. Now, direct election. Within the direct election, again we can see there are general election, number 1. Number 2, midterm election is there. Number 3, by-election is there. What are all this? What is mean by general elections? The elections which are held after the completion of one full term is known as general election. Okay, general elections are conducted after 5 years, after the completion of the term. So general elections are held after 5 years. What is the term of Lok Sabha? 5 years. What is the term of Legislative Assembly? 5 years. Okay, so that is known as general election. Or we can say in a simple term, general election is an election which is held after the completion of 5 years term. So when a 5-year term is completed, when we elect, then again new members will be elected. Okay, that is known as general election. So in our country, general election is held after 5 years. Then we have, okay, general election can be discussed in term of Vidhan Sabha also. When the Vidhan Sabha, that is Legislative Assembly, completes 5 years term, when the new members of Vidhan Sabha are elected, that is also known as general election. Okay, general election. Now next one, mid-term. What is the meaning of mid-term? In the middle of the term. Suppose, for example, as you know that the government is formed in the Lok Sabha or in the Legislative Assembly only when they have the majority of members. If the government falls or if the government is dissolved due to lack of majority in the Lok Sabha or due to lack of majority in the Vidhan Sabha, the government will be dissolved. Right? If a vote of no confidence is passed against the government will resign. So when an election is held before the completion of the term, before the completion of 5 years term, that is known as mid-term. In the middle of the term, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is the full term. But after 1 year or 2 years, if the government is dissolved, then again new election is to be held. So that election is known as mid-term election. Okay, when any legislature or any house of legislature gets dissolved before completing its tenure, before completing its full term, then the election which is conducted or held is known as mid-term election. In the middle of the term, elections are held. Okay, that is known as mid-term. Hope you understood it. General, after the completion of the term, mid-term, in the middle of the term, before the completion of the 5 years term, when election is held, that is known as mid-term. Now, next one is by-election. What is the meaning? What is the meaning of by-election? We can say that by-election is a special election, my dear, held between two general elections to fill the vacant seat of the legislature or assembly or Lok Sabha. Okay, suppose for example a member of Lok Sabha died or he expired, so that seat is vacant. So in order to fill that seat, election is to be conducted. Okay, sometime what happens that the state legislative assembly members, they contest the election of Lok Sabha, and once they get elected in the Lok Sabha, they cannot hold two posts. They cannot be a member of legislative assembly also, they cannot be the member of Lok Sabha also. So they decide where to be the member. So they choose to become the member of Lok Sabha. In that case, when he shifts from legislative assembly to Lok Sabha, the seat of legislative assembly will remain vacant. So in order to fill that seat, election is held. In a democratic way, elections are held. In a proper manner, elections are held, and that election is known as by-election. If a member resigns or dies or is been removed, then that seat falls vacant, and in order to fill that seat, the election which is held is known as a by-election. If you resign, suppose one of the member of Lok Sabha resigned from the membership, then that seat will be vacant. So in order to fill that seat, election will be held. Okay, that is known as by-election. Did you understand? So once again, general election after the completion of full 5 years term, mid-term, in the middle of the term, by-election if the seat falls vacant, okay, or if the member of the parliament or member of legislature dies, then in order to fill that seat, election which is held or conducted is known as by-election. Okay, by. This two is clear. General 5 years, mid-term in the middle of term, and here you can say if any of the member dies or resigns, then the election which is held is known as by-election. Okay. So now we will discuss about the composition of election commission. Composition of election commission. Okay. Okay. So it's a very small topic. Within a few minutes, I'll complete it. I'll make you understand what is the composition of election commission and what is the function of election commission. What is the main role played by election commission. Okay, so election commission composition, how it is composed of, altogether how many members are there in election commission? Altogether how many are there? 3. Okay, out of 3 members, one is the chief election commissioner, who is the chief of the election commission. So he is known as the chief election commissioner of India. Okay, Chief Election Commissioner of India, this is the one. Okay, he presides over all the important meetings whenever it is held. He acts as a chairman of the election commissions. Okay, and these remaining two are known as election commissioner. They are the one who help the chief election commissioner. So this body is formed of 3 members, and all these 3 are known as election commissions. Okay, and first one is election commissioner, and these 2 are election commission. Okay, so who appoints them? The election commissioners as well as other members are elected by the president of our country. Okay, chief election commissioner and other 2 commissioners are elected by the president of our country, and they have been given a term of 6 years. They can remain in office till 6 years. Okay, the term of the chief election commission's office or the commissioner is 6 years. Okay, no person or when an election commissioner attains the age of 65, he has to resign, he has to retire. So above the age of 65, no person can become the election commissioner of our country. Okay, the president appoints them, and the term is 6 years. Okay, very very simple. 3 members. One is the chief election commissioner. The other 2 are the election commissioners. Okay. Now, what are the functions of what are the roles of the election commissioner? Very very simple, my dear. The first one is that all the elections are conducted in our country under the guidance of the chief election commissioner of our country, or the chief election commission's duty is to conduct the election free and fair way. Okay, no malpractices should be held anywhere. It is their duty to conduct it fairly. Okay, the next one is that whichever elections are held in our country are conducted by the election commission. Okay, whether it is a parliamentary election or a legislative assembly election, every elections are supervised by the election commission of our country. That is election commission of our country, that is India. Okay, now election commissioners, other duties are there. They prepare the voter list. Okay, they revise the voter list. Revise means a person, new ones will be entered, new names will be entered. The people who are already dead, okay, their names will be removed from the voter list. New roll numbers will be given to the people. Okay, electoral rolls will be given to the people. Okay, revisions will be done by them. Okay, they prepare the electoral rolls, voter list, voter list from time to time. Okay, they allot symbols to the political parties. Registrations are done by the election commission of our country. Number of political parties are there in our country. They are given election symbols by the election commission. Okay, and it is the duty of the election commission to conduct the election free and fairly. No malpractices should be involved in the election of the country. Okay, whichever election. Okay, then election commission also have the responsibility and the power to prevent possible electoral malpractices, like booth capturing, gundaism and all. Okay, lot of things goes on, like forcefully they bring the people to cast their vote, and sometime their names are not there in the voter list also. They are called and they are asked to cast their vote and all. Sometimes they enter the polling booth with guns and all. So all these are to be looked after by the election commission. Political parties, they have nothing to do it over here. They have to remain neutral. And every department of election commission are involved in the conduct of elections. It is their duty to conduct the election free and fairly. Okay, so this is all about the role of election commission of our country. So you have to go through the composition of election commission. If you are asked what is the composition of election commission, you may say election commission is composed of 3 members. One is the chief election commissioner, other 2 are the election commissioners. Their term is 6 years and they are appointed by the president of our country. Okay, so this is all about from this class, that is all about election commission. So hope you all have understood it. Okay, so we'll meet again in the next class. Till then, take care, stay safe, bye bye.